welcome to Firstpost Live, where we bring you the day's top 4 stories from across the world. I am Grishin Gale, live from the Firstpost studios. Let's begin with the headlines. A Hong Kong court sentences pro-democracy media tycoon Jimmy Lai to 20 years in prison under national security laws. In a ruling, critics say marks a major blow to press freedom in the city. Women activists marched through Dhaka carrying flaming torches, demanding justice and political representation ahead of Bangladesh's elections, where women make up less than 4% of candidates. Indonesian President Prabowo Subianto receives an invitation to the United States for talks linked to President Donald Trump's proposed Board of Peace, with a possible trade deal also on the agenda. Thousands protest across Australia against the visit of Israeli President Isaac Herzog, who is touring the country in a trip meant to show solidarity with Australia's Jewish community. And President Trump criticizes Bad Bunny's Super Bowl halftime performance, calling it offensive and mocking its Spanish language lyrics, despite millions of Americans speaking Spanish. We begin with the latest from Manipur, in India's northeast. Fresh tensions have been reported from parts of the hill districts as the state attempts to recover from the aftermath of ethnic violence that first erupted in 2023. Tensions flared in Ukhrul district on Sunday after clashes broke out in a village where two tribal groups were involved in stone pelting. Some houses were set ablaze during the incident, prompting the district administration to impose prohibitory orders in the area to prevent any escalation. Authorities say the tensions followed a localized dispute between Naga and Kuki villagers in the area. The incident comes just days after President's rule was revoked and a new government took charge in the state last week. The army and paramilitary forces have been deployed as a preventive measure to maintain law and order. Meanwhile, in southern Manipur, signs of normalcy are returning to parts of Churachandpur district after 2 days of protests. Police say businesses reopened in most areas over the weekend, although additional security remains in place as a precaution. The protests came as a new government led by Chief Minister Khemchand Singh took charge in the state. This after the 3 legislators from the Kuki Zo and Mar communities extended support to the formation. Protesters in Kuki-dominated areas say the political move does not fully reflect communities' aspirations. Many people in the Kuki-Zo community believe their leaders should not join the government until their core demands are addressed. Earlier today, the new chief minister visited a hospital in the state capital Imphal, where he met people injured in the latest incidents. The visit comes as the state continues efforts to stabilize after months of ethnic unrest.
I urge all sections of society to maintain peace and harmony. Dialogue and restraint are essential to prevent further escalation of tensions.
Other senior leaders say their immediate priority is the restoration of normalcy as Manipur seeks to move towards dialogue and healing.
So with that, the popular government has been restored with a very good leadership, our Honorable Chief Minister. And I have also given a responsibility to see what is happening and what could be done in order to restore the problems and these issues in the state. So this is to restore peace and normalcy among our people in the state.
Manipur continues to navigate a fragile political and social transition after nearly a year under President's rule. The state has been reeling under sporadic violence for close to 3 years now. The authorities are stressing that preventive steps and dialogue remain key to maintaining stability. Japan has delivered a landmark political verdict. Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi has scored a historic snap election landslide. Her ruling coalition secured a 2/3 majority in the powerful lower house of parliament for the first time ever. Takaichi's Liberal Democratic Party won well over 300 of the 465 seats contested together with its coalition partner. This massive victory comes just months after Takaichi took office, making her snap election gamble a resounding success. The 64-year-old leader called a snap election soon after taking office, saying she would step down if she failed to win a simple majority. This sweeping mandate gives Japan's first female prime minister unprecedented political strength to push through her conservative agenda and shape the country's future over the next 4 years. And after her stunning election victory, Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi underlined her economic priorities.
My main objective, the core of what I have advocated since the very first party leadership election, is the refundable tax credit. For middle and low-income earners, social insurance premiums weigh the heaviest and are regressive, so I really want to address that.
Takaichi has promised responsible fiscal management, saying her government will prioritize sustainable public finances while boosting both public and private investment. She says her goal is to build a strong, resilient and competitive economy for Japan's 123 million people. On the foreign policy front, the region is watching closely. Takaichi has taken a tough stance on security, including boosting Japan's defense budget and taking a hard line on China. Her previous comments suggesting possible military action if China moves against Taiwan had triggered sharp reactions from Beijing. Now, with no immediate election pressure, analysts say she may seek to lower tensions and stabilize relations with China while strengthening ties with the United States. Financial markets, meanwhile, also reacted positively. Japan's benchmark Nikkei index jumped around 5% to hit a new record high. Investors are betting on higher government spending, continued easy monetary policy, and stronger economic growth. However, there are also concerns about Japan's massive public debt and the impact of proposed tax cuts and increased spending.
Even in the current situation, flexibility is my strong point. So if there are good proposals from opposition parties, I will take them seriously.
Domestic reactions have been mixed. Many voters welcomed a focus on national security, immigration controls and economic growth. Others, especially young voters, said they hoped for more attention to inflation and social issues.
After the results announcement, my anxiety is actually stronger. The LDP, having a lot of power, does have advantages, but I am worried about how Japan will deal with other countries, especially China, and also the US. From a business perspective too, that's a concern going forward.
And now world leaders have rushed to congratulate her. US President Donald Trump praised her decisive leadership and conservative agenda. Ahead of the snap polls, Trump had publicly endorsed Takaichi, praising her as a strong, decisive and patriotic leader. He had said that she would not let the Japanese people down. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi called its results a landmark victory and said that India-Japan ties will reach new heights. Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni too sent warm wishes, highlighting strong strategic partnership. Once a heavy metal drummer and an admirer of Margaret Thatcher, Sanae Takaichi has emerged as one of Japan's most powerful leaders in decades. Now, with a historic mandate, all eyes are on how she reshapes Japan's economy, security and global role. And for deeper insights, we have with us Jeffrey J. Hall, who is a lecturer specializing in Japanese politics at Kanda University of International Studies, joining us live from Chiba, Japan. Jeffrey, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me on.
With this sweeping mandate and a two-thirds majority, Prime Minister Takaichi now has unprecedented political space. What major policy moves do you expect her to prioritize, especially given the tensions between her promises of tax cuts, higher spending, and Japan's massive public debt?
Well, as you introduced briefly earlier, there is a lot of concern about the cost of living among voters, especially younger working-age voters. And Takaichi has pledged in the past to cut the consumption tax on food. And this is a very big promise to be made. But during the campaign, she didn't talk about it as much. And the LDP's manifesto has said that they will consider it. And now she's talking about having a national conference to discuss it and make a decision. So the issue of tax cuts, that something that voters really want, but might not be fiscally responsible, is now up in the air. And people are thinking that perhaps she isn't actually going to deliver on that, and she'll try to have some other policy focus to distract voters from the economy.
With her tough stance on China and strong comments on Taiwan, do you expect relations with Beijing to escalate or stabilize after the landslide?
In this situation, We have Beijing announcing after Takaichi's victory that they still expect her to retract her remark about defending Taiwan. But I doubt she will do that because this election has shown that the voters approved of her strong stance against China. And she has no reason whatsoever to really walk back those remarks on Taiwan. It'll just make her look weak. But I don't think she has much reason to escalate things either. So in this case, the matter of escalation is probably something that is up to China to decide. And Takaichi has put in the party manifesto that they will respond calmly to China. So I think she's open to dialogue, but the Taiwan issue is one in which the Chinese are very sensitive and they do not like changes to the status quo.
Donald Trump had openly endorsed Takaichi before the polls. How could this clear political alignment shape regional security?
Well, the relationship with Trump is extremely important for Japan. Japan's national security depends on the U.S. alliance. And if Trump were to not help Japan in an emergency, it would be a major problem for Japan. So the number one goal of Takaichi since becoming prime minister has been to become friends with Trump, to be as friendly as possible with Trump, to praise him, to flatter him, to give him gifts, and to fulfill the Japanese side of the trade agreement made under her predecessor. However, with her visit to Washington coming next month, there are reports in Japanese newspapers today that Donald Trump is privately frustrated that Japan hasn't acted quickly enough to move on its promised investments in the United States. So a big challenge that she's going to have to face is to go to Washington and convince Trump that Japan is not stalling on purpose. There are reasons for these delays and that Japan is going to deliver the money that Trump really wants to go flowing into the U.S. economy.
Right. And that was Jeffrey J. Hall, lecturer at Canna University of International Studies. Thanks for sharing your insights with Firstpost.
Thank you.
From East Asia, let's now shift our focus to West Asia. For the first time in 37 years, Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, has skipped a major military event, breaking a 4-decade tradition and stunning political circles in Tehran. On Sunday, Iran held its annual meeting with Air Force commanders. The event marked the 47th anniversary of a key moment in 1979. That was when Iran's Air Force officers pledged loyalty to Ruhollah Khomeini, founder of the Islamic Republic and predecessor to Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. This year, however, Khamenei was absent, prompting the Armed Forces Chief of Staff to attend in his place. Khamenei's absence came as a surprise as he had never missed the event since 1989, not even at the height of the COVID-19 pandemic. Iran's supreme leader's no-show fueled fresh security concerns. As reports indicated, Khamenei had shifted to a fortified bunker in Tehran. This comes at a moment of escalating tensions between Iran and the United States, including growing speculation of possible American military action. Tehran is reportedly fearing June 2025-like joint attack by US and Israel that continued for 12 days. Iran's supreme leader had threatened that any US attack would trigger a wider regional conflict. Following this, President Trump warned of severe consequences if Iran refused to negotiate, saying Khamenei should be worried.
Sir, on Iran, the Supreme Leader today said that U.S. attack could spark a regional war. Do you have any response to that, sir?
Why wouldn't he say that? Of course you're going to say that, but we have the biggest, most powerful ships in the world over there, very close, a couple of days, and hopefully we'll make a deal. If we don't make a deal, then we'll find out whether or not he was right.
Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi had also issued a stark warning, vowing to strike American bases in the region.
In my view, this is very clear. If the U.S. attacks us, it is evident that we don't have the ability and access to attack U.S. territory and therefore have to attack or retaliate to U.S. bases in the region. And unfortunately, U.S. bases are spread all over the region.
As Washington is intensifying military pressure, the two sides had resumed nuclear talks in Oman. The first round took place in Muscat on February 6, with Iran calling it a good start, while insisting it would not abandon its uranium enrichment.
Why have we always insisted on enrichment and continue to do so, even if war is imposed on us? Because nobody is allowed to tell us what we should possess and what we shouldn't. This is based on the no domination principle. According to the law, we have the right to enrich. It's my own business to use this right or not.
Now, Trump had repeatedly threatened to use force to push Iran into a nuclear deal. The warnings came after the United States strengthened its naval and air presence in the Gulf, deploying the aircraft carrier USS Abraham Lincoln and its strike group. Even Trump's lead Iran negotiators, Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner, had visited the carrier in the Arabian Sea. Iran has been facing one of its most serious waves of protests in recent years. US military buildup unfolded after Tehran's crackdown on nationwide protests that left thousands dead. The whole fiasco began on December 28th when shopkeepers in Tehran went on strike over rising prices, economic stagnation, and the collapse of Iran's currency. But what started as an economic protest has since turned into a broader movement demanding political change. Also, the United States last week issued an urgent travel advisory asking its citizens in Iran to leave the country immediately. This move has sparked speculation about a possible US strike on Tehran amid growing tensions over the nuclear deal. With diplomacy fragile and military pressure rising, Khamenei's absence spoke louder than any speech. His silence left the region watching for Iran's next move. And finally, on to our last story. We are living in the age of artificial intelligence, and India's homegrown AI has just delivered results that are turning heads globally. A Bengaluru-based startup, Sarvam AI, has shown that Indian-built technology can compete with, and in some areas even beat, global giants like ChatGPT and Google Gemini. Sarvam AI is building what it calls a sovereign AI, meaning core AI models are being developed in India for India's needs. Until now, most powerful AI models came from the US and China, but Sarvam is now changing that perception. One of Sarvam's key tools is Sarvam Vision, which focuses on OCR. OCR, or optical character recognition, is the technology that reads text from images, scanned documents, forms and photos, and converts them into editable, searchable text. This is crucial for digitizing government records, bank documents, and educational material. On global benchmarks, Sarvam Vision has outperformed widely used AI tools like ChatGPT and Google Gemini in reading Indian language documents. In tests that measure how well AI reads text from photos and scans, it scored over 85%, beating Gemini and DeepSeek. In a separate real-world document tests like bank statements and electricity bills, it crossed an impressive 93%. The strong performance has grabbed eyeballs. In fact, a global tech commentator who earlier doubted the value of Indian language models publicly admitted he was wrong and praised Sarvam for filling a gap ignored by big global AI labs. Users online have also shared positive feedback after testing the model. Sarvam has also launched Bulbul V3, its text-to-speech AI model. Text-to-speech means converting written text into natural-sounding human voice. Bulbul V3 is designed for Indian languages and accents, aiming to produce stable and expressive audio suitable for real-world use. Sarvam AI says its tools can help speed up AI adoption in sectors like banking, education, and government services, where reading local language documents and generating accurate voice content is essential. Sarvam AI's success marks a big moment for India's tech story, proving that world-class AI can be built at home, tailored to Indian languages, and strong enough to challenge global leaders. That's all for today. Thank you for joining us. I am Gushin Gal, and we'll see you right back here tomorrow. Until then, stay informed and stay tuned to Firstpost.